Okay, so my area of research is called angiogenesis. Angio, blood vessels, genesis, how they grow. It turns out that how our blood vessels grow are one of the most important uh, 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 dimensions of our health. In fact, our angiogenesis system is a health defense system that is firing on all cylinders from the moment we're born until our very last breath. Okay, and the key thing is that our blood vessels are exquisitely sensitive to what we eat. You want to have good circulation as we get older. And when I say get older, look, when we're 1 year old, we're 1 year older. We're 100% older than when we were born.
That's true.
So when we think about aging, and I encourage people that are listening to think about this, we think about aging as, you're 60, you're 65, you're 70, you're retired. I think that's the wrong way to think about aging. I mean, that is part of aging, but we're aging, when we're teenagers, we're getting older. When we're in our 20s, we're getting older. In 30s and 40s, when we're in our most vibrant, capable, strong parts of our lives, we are still aging. So the way I encourage people to think about aging is what are the things that where we actually get to slow down and get compromised? So one thing is our blood vessels, our circulation. Cardiovascular disease is the number one killer of people around the world. Okay, as we get older, we die from heart attacks and strokes and all the complications of cardiovascular disease. That means blood vessels are compromised. So what can we do? What can we eat to help protect our blood vessels? Well, it turns out that there are a number of foods that help to promote and foster good circulation. All right. And one of the things, you've heard about an apple a day keeps the doctor away. The dose of apples that are helpful is really probably about 2 to 3 apples a day. All right. And what's in it? There's a natural bioactive called chlorogenic acid. Chlorogenic acid is a natural substance that helps to groom and pave the slipperiness of our blood vessels, keeps our inner lining of the blood vessels nice and slippery. Cardiovascular disease is when that lining gets scuffed up. Okay. If you think about our 60,000 miles worth of blood vessels in our body as the highways and byways by which our body delivers oxygen that we breathe and the nutrients that we eat to every single organ, every single cell in our body. If those highways are pitted with potholes, okay, and bridge out and landslides blocking the path, well, you can tell that you're going to actually have problems getting good blood flow. In fact, you get blood clots. Blood clots are synonymous with cardiovascular disease because that's usually your exit strategy from life. All right, so you want to keep that nice lining smooth. Apples with chlorogenic acid. What are other foods with chlorogenic acid? Well, peaches and pears also have chlorogenic acid. That's really helpful. Now, another thing would be sulforaphanes. Now, these are natural chemicals that are found in leafy greens. Broccoli, broccolini, broccoli rabe, cabbage, cauliflower, the stuff that, we know is good for us. And we now know that the substances in these foods, these leafy green foods, actually help pave our circulation as well. Also, dietary fiber feeds our gut microbiome, and our gut microbiome lowers inflammation because when you have a lot of inflammation, that harms your blood vessels. A lot of inflammation in running around your body, which is one of the problems we have in a modern society, is it's kind of like a wildfire you're not putting out. Our blood vessels are burning. That inflammation is like scorching the lining of our blood vessels. And as you can imagine, that kind of pretty much sets you up for blood clots and other diseases that can happen to the vessels. So lowering inflammation by feeding your gut microbiome, eating polyphenols from fruits and veg are really, really important for keeping that circulation healthy. And then one last thing about just sort of like aging. So let's just jump to something that many people who might be listening are going to be thinking about: dementia. All right. Now, look, nobody wants to suffer from dementia, and we all probably know somebody who has had dementia. We think about Alzheimer's disease, but vascular dementia is much more common than Alzheimer's disease. Vascular dementia is basically where the little tiny blood vessels that are in your brain get small, hard, and narrow. And now you don't get enough blood flow to your brain. That's the most common cause of loss of cognition as you get older. So keep the brain blood flow going strong. And that actually will help pave the way. And how do we know this is important? Well, guess what? There was actually a study done last year that happened to discover that people who take Viagra, men who take Viagra, have a much lower, like I'm talking about a 70% lower risk of developing dementia. Why? Because Viagra not only dilates blood vessels in, the penis, but it also dilates blood vessels in your brain as well. You get better blood flow. Okay. And this is actually what we're discovering. And foods like spinach and beets can mimic what Viagra does by dilating the blood vessels to help you get better blood flow.
Hey, check this out. I've got a guide on the 5 small daily habits that boost brain health and prevent cognitive decline. And it's free. I share simple, easy to use recommendations that you can add to your routine today. These are habits that I use personally, and it's yours right now for free in the caption below. All you have to do is click on the link below the video.
I have no problem with wanting to look as good as you can, right? And we all, vanity and our self-image is super important. So there's no judgment there in talking about sort of figuring out how to keep yourself looking as youthful as possible, and you want to look good. More power to you. I'm all for it. So number one, I want to kind of put that out there. So collagen is actually an important way to do it because that's how your body does it. All right. By having this biomaterial that exists under your skin that provides structure so that you look the way that you want to look. Wrinkles, different types of tissue that look sagging, like it's usually due to some stretch or disruption of collagen or weakening of collagen. And our body continuously produces collagen. It's a protein. Okay. And collagen, by the way, is amazing. It's a triple helix. It's kind of like taking 3 threads of protein and the old macrame thing you might have learned when you were a kid, you weave them together. That's what your body does to make collagen that actually sits in lockstep with each other in a line, woven like an oriental rug into patterns that actually give us structure to our skin, tensile strength, shape, structure, form, and then you got blood vessels that have to go through there, so you get nice coloring. All right, and so all these things are really, really important. Okay, and by the way, there's one to give an example that a lot of people don't know about. Your cornea is the front of the eye. It's what you put your contact lens on if you wear contacts. It's the crystal clear front, just like the watch face on front of your eye. And it's completely clear, and that's made out of collagen too. And the reason that light can pass right through it, so you can see we can see each other, is because the collagen fibers are oriented exactly in lockstep. And if you mess up the collagen in the front of your eye, it clouds up. And now you can't see. That's how important collagen is. So how do you actually keep your collagen healthy? How does your body rebuild? How can you support that using food? Well, it turns out collagen is made with amino acids because it's a protein. So you want to keep up your protein. So something very simple. Like I try to keep things as simple and doable as possible. Okay. Make sure that you have adequate protein because the protein you eat puts amino acids into your body, and your body's going to harvest some of those amino acids to build, in part, collagen. So you want to keep on growing collagen, you're going to need to eat an adequate amount of protein to be able to just keep up that structure under your skin, number one. Number two, an interesting cofactor is what we call it in science, that your body needs to build healthy collagen in that lockstep woven way for good shape and form and structure is vitamin C. So if you don't have vitamin C, your collagen will fall apart. And a great example of that is you probably, your listeners probably heard about this disease called scurvy, which people, on pirate ships and long journeys on the ocean used to have. There was no citrus, no vitamin C. You know what? Their teeth used to fall out. All right. And the reason is because the collagen in their gums couldn't be adequately remade because they didn't have vitamin C. And so the gums got weak, their collagen got weak, and their teeth came out. All right. And their joints got weird. So this is really what you want to have is good vitamin C. How do you support vitamin C? Well, you could take a supplement easily, but actually there's so many other whole foods that have so many other supportive elements for overall health. You might as well have them. Obviously citrus, oranges, in the wintertime, tangerines, tangelos, a lot of there's a lot of different kinds of oranges and citrus you can actually have. But other less obvious sources of vitamin C are kiwi, red bell peppers, tomatoes, guava, all great sources of vitamin C, and broccoli, a great source of vitamin C. So you can get vitamin C from your diet, and I encourage people to eat diversely to get that vitamin C from whole foods, because you get all the bioactives and the polyphenols and a dietary fiber, as well as extra credit for your effort. Whereas a simple tablet of vitamin C, all right, it'll help the vitamin C, but you're missing out, man. And so I always think that get it from the whole foods. So vitamin C, getting enough protein for amino acids, getting your vitamin C. And then, by the way, and this is something that I used to think was bunk, but then I realized there's real research to it and real science, and I participated in some of it, so I know it's real. An example of where I changed my own mind with evidence and science is actually having collagen products. Okay, eating collagen will actually build collagen. And so let me tell you why I was skeptical. Years ago, someone would say, I'm going to have some bone broth and I'm going to have some collagen, and it's going to make my joints better. And my first response back then this is like 10 years ago. I'd say, that's bunk. No way it's true. What are you going to say? You're going to eat some collagen, little collagen worms, those little eels are going to swim out of your stomach and swim their way to your joint and stick in your joint. It's not going to happen. All right. And maybe that's how it was marketed. But actually, here's what actually happens. When you have a dietary source of collagen. So what are some dietary sources of collagen? Bone broth. You boil up enough bones from things, it's filled with collagen from the animal, from the bones. Dissolves the bones, it always dissolves the joints. It is rich. I mean, if you ever had really good quality bone broth, it is delicious and it is dense. It's got stuff in it. And like
something human beings have been having for a long time.
Thousands of years. This is like your great grandmother's solution to health. And now we're rediscovering it with science. It's got collagen in it. All right. What's another source of collagen? Jello. I'm not talking about like the atomic colored Jellos that we had when we were kids, like bright green and bright orange, like colored stuff that you don't want to have. Like, I'm not talking about those Jellos. Those Jellos have all those additives that we talked about at the very beginning. We don't want to avoid and added sugar, right? But I'm talking about, you can get plain gelatin. Okay. If you look in the middle aisle of the grocery store, go look for Knox gelatin or whatever. It's just a plain box of just powdered gelatin, and you can make your own gelatin out of it. And you can flavor it the way you want. You can make it sweet. You can make it savory. You can make it neutral. That's a way of actually doing it. Okay. Of having collagen as well. But let me tell you biologically what happens that actually it helps your body build collagen. Collagen is a pretty big molecule when you eat it, whether bone broth or Jello or whatever. Gnaw on a chicken wing. Okay. You're going to get some collagen in your system. Gets your stomach acid. That collagen is busted up. That stomach acid is a cauldron that digests any food that you have, including collagen, which breaks it up into a million pieces. And this is where I went wrong with my assumptions, that you break it up to a million pieces, that little snake of collagen can't swim anywhere. Okay, so we've shattered that idea a long time ago. Actually, the biology is now teaching us something different. When you digest collagen into fragments, those fragments get absorbed into your bloodstream. And collagen fragments are actually biologically active. Mm. Those collagen fragments will circulate in your bloodstream, affect your joints, and collagen fragments will activate the cells that make collagen, like fibroblasts, okay, special cells that can actually make collagen, and they will stimulate the collagen-making cells to make more collagen. That's why bone broth and Jello actually works for your joints, for your joint health, and for skin health as well. It actually is true. So again, if you're going to actually buy product that is packaged, whether it's plain gelatin or bone broth, please look at the ingredient label, because that's actually how you get the transparency to know whether or not there's anything added to it by the factory, the manufacturer, that you might not be comfortable with. Mm. Get the pure stuff, get the elemental stuff. That to me is what you really, really want when it comes to bone broth. Don't have crazy chemical additives. If you can't pronounce it, you don't know what they were for in there, Okay, you wouldn't put it in your, you wouldn't add that in your house. Probably that's something you want to avoid, and that's again choice. Choose the one that's actually simpler, that's actually doesn't have those additives or toxins that we're trying to avoid. Right. This is where we're headed. I think as a society, we're trying to raise our awareness of these things. We're trying to take action. Hopefully, companies and governments and educators will all, and the medical community all get together to say, you know what, it's like smoking. Not a good thing to do. Let's all work together in alignment to make sure we're not doing these kinds of things and we're not exposing to people. But at the end of the day, it's a choice that we're actually making. You can still get a cigarette. Okay. You can still choose to smoke it. Most people who care about health don't. And so, but this is, again, amazing ways to actually take care of that collagen that's going to make your skin looks good. Structure, function, tensile strength, shapes your body in any way, shape, or form that you want it to be. All right. You need to have good collagen, amino acids, protein, vitamin C, and collagen containing products like bone broth or Jello are simple ways that you can go to the store today to help your body's collagen.
Incredible. Just what are your thoughts on whether it's a supplemental form, high quality, or whether it's something like a bone broth? Should somebody be thinking about having that a few times a week?
It's a great part of having a diverse diet. And you know, supplements, I call supplements for what they mean, topping off. You know, like if you can't get it any other way, yeah, choose a supplement. Why not? You know, or you can't eat enough, try some supplements. So I don't have a problem with collagen supplements. They actually work. You know, I mean, they work for veterinarians, which they work for dogs with arthritis. And actually, human studies actually are showing that as well, for the reasons I actually told you that I had been skeptical about before. But in fact, the human evidence actually shows us now that the biology of collagen fragments activating the cells to make more collagen actually works in your body. So I'm all for it. You know, I have to tell you, you know, like I was a little under the weather like last week. And you know what I did? I made some soup, but I made it with bone broth.
Wow.
And actually,
homemade? Did you make it at home or did you pick some up?
I went out to the store to buy it because I
making bone broth is a little tough and it stinks up the whole house.
You know what? I do it after like a Thanksgiving meal or whenever there's poultry or bones being available, like a carcass. I'll actually make it myself. Delicious, but yeah, it's work. You know, and
totally.
But I bought the bone broth, and you know, I'll just tell you, just N of one myself taking self-care. I felt so much better after sipping the bone broth soup. And it wasn't a placebo effect. Like my sinuses cleared. I felt more relaxed, you know, like my headache kind of went down. I'm sure some of that is these peptides and fragments and things like that that are in the bone broth. And so, listen, I mean, grandma was right. Have some chicken soup.
That's awesome. You know, on this theme of longevity is not just about how we, you know, how long we live and making sure we're free of chronic disease and that our brain is sharp, but also part of that is looking good too. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to look good. In fact, I think there's some data that's out there that I came across that actually like how you perceive yourself to look. If you perceive yourself to look young, you actually feel young, right? I'm sure there's something in that dimension versus if you feel like you look old in your perception, like your look accelerated in your aging, that can have some mindset, you know, impact on you as well. I don't know if that's true or not. I'll share with you what I came across and you can tell me and we'll add it to the show notes afterwards. But on the topic of not only feeling young, but looking young, is there anything out there like collagen that you've seen that makes a difference in how we look?
All right. So I'm going to give you some like cutting edge research that I'm impressed by, that I have become a believer in the science of, and it's leading to products that you can actually find on the market.
Oh, wow.
And have you heard of exosomes?
Yeah, for sure.
So exosomes are these tiny little packages that are found in normal healthy cells. And these little packages are more like, when I say package, I mean like a box. Okay, they're a little box and they contain cargo. And the cargo is something, it's genetic material, special kind of genetic material called microRNA. Okay, and microRNA isn't like this BS topic that's just influencers are talking about. But in fact, it won the Nobel Prize in 2024. So it's real science that's been recognized as profoundly important to our understanding of the human body. okay, and our human biology. And that's what's inside an exosome. And so what do these little cargo of micro DNA, microRNA, what do they do? Well, it's a way of one cell communicating to another because they release these exosomes. So exo means going out. And so these little particles that are inside the cell get spewed out, okay? And they hit the nearby cells. And those nearby cells, the microRNA in the exosome gives the signal to tell the cell next door to reboot itself, to regenerate itself, to restore itself, to go reprogram itself, which is pretty amazing, which is basically one cell telling the next cell to keep yourself a little bit younger. All right. Now, I could take that further and turn it into a marketing statement, which I won't because I'm a scientist, but you can tell where this will go. Because if you then take exosomes, which you can find from human tissue, where do you find them? You find them from body fat, fat that is sucked out by liposuction, usually thrown away. Okay. You can harvest exosomes from there. So companies are actually now harvesting human exosomes with these youth commanding packages that tell cells to reset themselves and putting them into skin creams.
Wow.
So,
and there's actually evidence that it's making a difference?
Okay. So I was at a private conference where I invited a researcher to come in to present some data and a product and clinical studies on exosomes. And she busted out a skin cream and showed patient after patient after patient case studies before and after. Okay. And I got to tell you, the skin looked a lot better. And for skin that was aging or not doing well or had a disease, the reset it, clearly reset the skin.
Wow.
You know, and this is a trusted colleague of mine. So I know that like it would not be like, there's no hanky panky in the clinical data. All right. I mean, it was like real cases. So what's really exciting is that, is the sustainable potential for exosomes, because it turns out, and I'm super excited about this because of my work in food as medicine, you can also get exosomes from foods. Plants have exosomes.
Wow.
You can find it in aloe vera, which is a food source in Latin America. You can find it in ginger. You can find it in coffee grounds and coffee beans. Isn't that amazing? And there's a huge overlap in the Venn diagram between the microRNA in the exosome of a plant compared to human fat. Isn't that amazing?
Totally.
I mean, think about how far apart we were evolutionarily way back when. Like, we looked nothing like a coffee bean or a piece of ginger. And yet our microRNA in our exosomes shares an overlap.
That's incredible.
That is incredible.
You know, just because I know people are going to hit us up afterwards, right? Is your friend's product that he presented on, is that commercially available? You know, and you don't have to mention it.
The person who I invited to speak, who you might want to have on this podcast at some point, is Dr. Robin Smith.
Okay.
Okay. She's a physician entrepreneur. She's been involved with stem cells and all kinds of other things. Happy to make the introduction to you. And she started a company called Exosuticals, which obviously have to do focusing on exosomes. And as far as I understand, there is a product that's out there that's a skin cream that's actually for healing and for resetting the skin.
Okay. Interesting. We'll check it out afterwards.
Definitely check it out. I mean, look, I think in the same spirit, we're talking about the pioneers for longevity and anti-aging and, or healthy aging. Like, look, this is what's cool in today's world. What we didn't have back in the time of the Emperor of China, creating those, terracotta warriors. We have real science. We've got real technology. We live in a modern world where lots of smart people are coming at this topic in lots of different ways. How do we live longer? How do we live better? How do we look better? How do we actually stay healthier? What are the foods we should eat? And of course, what are the things we should avoid, including the environmental toxins and microplastics and things that we've actually covered as well. Hey there, it's Dr. Lee. I share a lot in my YouTube videos, but sometimes we need a deeper, more personal dive into how food can be used as medicine. And that's why I created my Eat to Beat Disease course. You'll have me as your teacher and guide to unlock the full potential of food that can be used to boost your health. My course is packed with the latest science and practical strategies. It's all designed to be easily followed and something you can start using right away. So whether you want to prevent a disease or fight a disease or just optimize your health for longevity, my course has got you covered. So if you're ready to make a positive change, click on the link below or scan the QR code on the screen right now. I can't wait to see how you're going to get started to improve your health using food. Now, back to the video. I'm aligned with the idea that muscle strength, muscle maintenance, and even muscle growth, like kind of cultivating your muscle, tending to the garden of your muscle, which is built on your skeleton, which is connected to your joints, which is very important. All of that is part of the chassis of our body, is really important for healthy aging. Look, so I'm agreeing with that. Okay, I think that the perspectives should be broad and not just oriented to one angle of muscle health, and you've got to do high intensity training if you want to actually live a long time. I mean, those are some of the myths about longevity, is that if you just do one hack, you're going to make it the whole way. Look, we're learning about how to do this. And I think clearly muscle health, muscle strength, muscle maintenance is all really important. And if you want to look at the flip side, sarcopenia is the term that doctors use to describe the loss of muscle mass. All you got to do is to think in your mind about, maybe your grandparents, or, if you're lucky enough to have great grandparents, or look in a nursing home, or if you've ever been in a hospital with old people, older people there, geriatric unit. I mean, there's a lot of people with like the skin and bones. All right. That is a great example of sarcopenia. Cancer patients lose muscle mass. They lost weight. It's not just body fat. It's also muscle mass. Without muscle mass, you're losing a lot of stuff. You know what? Our blood vessels, our circulation course through our muscles, and they bring all the molecules that our muscle, they contribute to growing the muscle and maintaining the muscle, but they also take good stuff from the muscle, including things that are healthy for our brain. So, a newer area of muscle biology that I get really excited by are these hope molecules. Have you heard of these?
No.
Okay. So, but in biology, we've known that there are myokines. These are cytokines made by muscles. If you actually work out, you're going to be releasing a lot of myokines as your muscle is damaged and then has to regenerate, and then you're building up your biceps or, your core strength. Like, that's basic, weight training, fitness logic, right? But what's really interesting, there are a subset of myokines that have been discovered, and they've been coined hope molecules, because you know what they do? They don't just cause inflammation and repair and all that kind of stuff. They go into our brain and they give us optimism.
Wow.
Amazing, right?
So cool.
Which is why when you actually work out, when you regularly work out and exercise, by the way, it's not just going to the gym and having a trainer. You don't have to be super wealthy. If you go out to actually just walk around the block every single day, okay, after dinner or something like that, regular physical exercise, but especially if you actually have an exercise program, you are releasing hope molecules. Myokines is the scientific word that influences brain health as well, and influences your attitude, your mindset. And think about it. If you're going to make that whole journey for longevity, you want to have a good mindset. Most people who are centenarians, this is this optimistic group of people who make it to 100 and above. By the way, do you know how many centenarians there are in the world today?
How many?
Take a guess. How many think people make it to that goal of 100 or more?
I would say very few today.
You would think. The number is that as of 2024, into 2024, it's been estimated there are 722,000 centenarians. Can you imagine? So living to 100 is not impossible.
Yeah.
It's not a rare thing. People are doing it regularly. Okay. And how are they doing it? They're not biohacking. Not everyone has a continuous glucose monitor. Not everybody is actually, getting transfusion from young people or doing all these crazy things that, we see, popularized in the longevity space. What are they actually doing? They are regularly exercising. They have physical activity. They are socializing as well. Hey, you're not going to socialize when you're in a bad mood. Hope molecule, optimism, you want to hang out with your buds.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. So this is all part of this continuum of making this journey along the way. And exercise and hope molecules is a very important part of muscle. So that's why I think with this kind of research discovery that's emerging, why muscle maintenance and muscle building cultivation is something that's important as we age.
Is there a specific form of exercise modality that is, I guess, more effective at expressing these molecules?
We don't really know that yet, because this is a relatively recent discovery that's actually entered the more popular scientific domain. It would be great to know that. And actually, it would be good to know if eating certain foods, for example, actually can amplify that release, or maybe keeping them around in your bloodstream a lot better. Or who knows? I mean, in this supplement friendly world, I mean, maybe people want to make a myokine supplement or something that helps to induce more myokine. Like, you don't need to be on a SSRI, a Prozac. Maybe you need to just exercise more. And by the way, this is actually a good counter to depression, right? Not end stage clinical depression, where you need to, be an inpatient. But I'm saying that most people know that when you exercise, you actually feel better.
Oh, 100%. I'm a different person leaving the gym than I am walking into it. What exercise does for my mental health, it's just uncanny. Well, this has all been super interesting, super informative. I always love getting to touch base with you, because every time we do, you bring a new breadth of knowledge to the plate, because you're constantly in the weeds researching and on the campaign really for this notion of food as medicine, which I think for the first time is really getting the attention that it deserves.
Yeah, and what my own perspective on food as medicine for longevity is that we don't need to go to the extremes to be able to actually achieve what we all want to achieve, which is to live long and live well. We can make simple decisions every single day that increasingly is supported by science that puts us in a better mood, gives us better cardiovascular and metabolic health, keeps us, our skeleton and our frame in good shape so we can physically do the things that we want to do. To me, that's my approach to longevity, is how do we get to where we want to be as the people that we want to live to be. We want to be able to enjoy our lives as we lengthen our lives.
Hey, if you like that video, then you're going to love this one. Check it out.